You know, one of the things as a bow hunter that we got to keep in mind, especially with turkeys, is that they're a very small target, and if you don't hit them right, they're very, very difficult to take. So I started doing something a little bit different. I thought I'd show you guys about it.
I want to stop here and read this warning. Take it very seriously. Warning, this technique requires the use of a drop-away arrow rest without an upper arrow guard. It is imperative that the fish hook completely clear all bow-mounted accessories when fired. The hook must face up when put on the arrow rest. If it faces down, contact may occur on the shot and it could cause injury or even death. Do not use this method with a whisker biscuit type arrow rest or any other arrow rest or bow that will contact on the hook on the shot. Do not use with crossbows. Use this method at your own risk. Use common sense and do not risk injury if you are not 100% certain it is safe to shoot. Mike Slinkard, Hex, or any other entity takes no responsibility for injuries caused by use of this method.
So it's a little out of the box, I guess, but if you can look at this, you can see that I've actually got a fish hook on the front of this arrow. What it is, it's held here by two O-rings like that. So I got two O-rings. When this hook deploys, first off, most of the time that's going to stop in the turkey right there. And if you can keep the arrow in the turkey, you're going to recover them a lot more easily. But if it doesn't, if it passes through, what's going to happen is this hook's going to come off and it's going to spin off like that. And as you can see, I've got a string on it. This is heavy halo archery serving is what it is. So it's super strong and it's just tied around this arrow like this. So what happens as it passes through, that hook goes through, the hook hangs in the turkey, and he's just got basically a big anchor hanging to him. So it's very, very hard to get away when that happens. So like I said, most of the time it actually stops in the bird, which is great. If you can keep the arrow in the bird, they're pretty easy to recover most of the time. But I tell you what, if you get that pass through and you haven't hit a super vital, even sometimes if you've hit a vital, they'll still take off and fly, and they can be very difficult to find. So this is just a little thing that I kind of came up with. You've got to make sure that the hook sets on your string so it's straight up. That way it's nice and safe. Use good quality O-rings. Also, of course, I use the big expandable heads. This happens to be a ramcat, but any big 3-blade head is good, something that cuts a lot of tissue when it goes through those turkeys. But anyway, just a quick tip about how this works. Basically, to tie it on, again, I put the two O-rings on. I just tie a loop around the string itself, pull it up against the serving like that, pull it through, then I just wrap it behind in that area that's behind the between the knock and the fletching. Just wrap it good and tight like that. And when you get up to where your knock is, you can keep pushing this down. That keeps it all nice and tight, which is really important. You get kind of up to the end of the shaft, make sure you push it all down so it's good and uniformed. Then just keep on going, and all you're going to do, you're just going to roll it over and go back towards the fletching again. I run about, on my arrows, I run about 5 feet of a string. It kind of varies a little bit. The other thing that I did is I took my lighted nocks out for this. Reason being is the lighted nock, the weight of that lighted nock is actually, I can counterbalance that with the weight of this string. So they're very close. They're within 5 grains of my actual arrow weight. So once I get it up like this, you take the fish hook, turn it this way so the hook is actually towards the broadhead, and just kind of move this around until you get it to where it's sitting where you want. You want that hook setting just right in front of the fletching. Then just roll your O-ring over it like that, and put the other one on there. It takes 2 to hold it nice and straight. You got to kind of work them sometimes to get them up over. And that's nice and straight. So what that does, again, is it'll set there, it'll shoot. It's not going to affect your arrow flight really at all. I've shot these out to 40 or 50 yards and really hasn't affected my arrow flight at all. But again, I take the lighted knock off to help compensate a little bit for that weight. But anyway, again, if you want to stop more turkeys, it's a pretty good way to go. It's not something that we sell or anything like that. It's just a little technique that I came out with, and hopefully it'll help you take more turkeys with your bow.
Warning, this technique requires the use of a drop-away arrow rest without an upper arrow guard. It is imperative that the fish hook completely clear all bow-mounted accessories when fired. The hook must face up when put on the arrow rest. If it faces down, contact may occur on the shot and it could cause injury or even death. Do not use this method with a whisker biscuit type arrow rest or any other arrow rest or bow that will contact on the hook on the shot. Do not use with crossbows. Use this method at your own risk. Use common sense and do not risk injury if you are not 100% certain it is safe to shoot. Mike Slinkard, Hex, or any other entity takes no responsibility for injuries caused by use of this method.